I want to talk about one of history's most controversial bad guys ever, Adolf Hitler, who after World War One, he rose to power in Germany and started World War II. So he became the leader or Führer of Germany in 1933. World War One ended in 1919. And so Hitler was still mad about Germany's 1918 surrender at the Treaty of Versailles, France, in which Germany agreed to pay a bunch of reparations or payments to France and England and some other countries for destroying their landscape. And so Hitler started to get hundreds of thousands of people riled up to stop paying those penalties and start building up Germany again.
Meine Arbeit für richtig hältst, ob du glaubst, dass ich fleißig gewesen bin, dass ich gearbeitet habe, dass ich mich in diesen Jahren für dich eingesetzt habe, dass ich anständig meine Zeit verwendet habe im Dienste meines Volkes. Gib du jetzt deine Stimme ab. Wenn ja, dann tritt für mich ein, so wie ich für dich eingetreten bin.
So you see, he was a very powerful speaker, and he had a lot of people listening to him. Meanwhile, in the United States, we were in our own Great Depression where all our banks had failed, and we were worried about feeding our own people, so we didn't really have World War II or anything like that on our mind. However, in 1936, we did send our top athletes to Germany's capital, Berlin, to face Hitler's athletes and the rest of the world's athletes. And one athlete shined above all. That's Jesse Owens, who won 4 gold medals at the Olympics. And very famously, Hitler refused to shake his hand all 4 times that he took the podium. Not a good host. And also, later in that year, a general in Spain, over on the other side of Europe, took power in the country, or started to take power. And one thing he did that surprised everybody was he became friends with Hitler. And so he starts this war in his country, and meanwhile he sides with Hitler. And so people are wondering what that's all about. And his country's got women and children fighting. Here's an actual scene of some fighting in Barcelona. And General Franco, he has some pretty worthy opponents in the north, in Basque country. It's a part of Spain. He's actually growing enemies all over the world, but one group stands out to him as his number one enemies. And they're over on the border of Spain and France. General Franco is going to aim his anger at the Basque. All right, so I'm going to have you look at a painting from the Spanish Civil War. And I'm going to have you do 3 activities, and then I'll explain what the painting is. But I'm going to have you try and guess what is going on in the painting first. So the first thing I'm going to have you do is look at the painting for 1 minute. You can just pause your computer screen. And I want you to write down 3 interesting things you see. And second, I'm going to have you write down something you wonder. And then I'm going to have you write down what you think happened in the painting. So let me go ahead and show you the painting first. So go ahead and write down 3 things you see, something you wonder is going on in this painting, and then what you think happened. And so what happened was General Franco allowed Hitler to practice leveling a city, and he practiced on the Basque country's capital, Guernica. And so Franco allowed Hitler, a foreigner, to come into his own country and bomb his enemies. And so this is when Hitler realizes that he has an air force powerful enough to destroy cities. And right after the bombing, Spanish painter Pablo Picasso started painting Guernica. And it's a really huge painting. Let me show you the size of it. You can still huge wall-sized painting, and you can still see it today in Madrid. And it usually has an armed guard standing by it to make sure nobody messes with it. It's probably one of the most expensive paintings in the world. And so Picasso wasn't the only celebrity that was upset about Guernica. America's most famous author, arguably, Ernest Hemingway, actually went to Spain and started taking part in the fighting, and later wrote a very famous book called For Whom the Bell Tolls, about a guy that runs dynamite in the Spanish Civil War. Now I'm going to show you the trailer to a movie called Pan's Labyrinth that's on Netflix, and it's a fairy tale from the Spanish Civil War, about a girl whose dad dies in the Spanish Civil War, and then her mom gets remarried to an evil general. And so to escape, she starts to kind of sink her head into this fairy tale.
In a dark time, when hope was bleak, there lived a young girl, only
legend that wanted her back. The legend speaks of the lost soul of a princess from another world who will one day be reborn. There will be signs that mark her return. There will be secrets that reveal her destiny. There will be a journey that will make you believe. And the imagination of Guillermo del Toro. In darkness, there can be light. In misery, there can be beauty. In death, there can be life. Pan's Labyrinth.
And remember, a civil war is when a country is at war with itself. So this kind of gives you a look into Spain's civil war that was just before World War II started.